What's good, guys? Welcome back to the spin-off, bonus, whatever you want to call it, talking at the movie side episodes, our little side quest that me and Mo go on where we compare movies or review movie sagas that maybe we haven't seen in a long time or haven't seen at all in most cases. Like, dude, it terrifies me. The amount of essential, iconic movies that you just seem to have skipped over in your childhood.
Well, that just makes more interesting conversation now.
I guess it does. So this week we're going to be looking at the thriller classics, Cape Fear from 1962.
Yep.
And the movie of the same name from 1991 by Martin Scorsese. The other director, J. Lee something or other, J. Lee Thompson. So Mo, what do you think of these? Going back, because this is the biggest gap we've ever really checked out so far.
So I'd never seen either of these two films.
Oh wow, here we go again.
So no surprise. Even the recently made, I say recently, the last 30 years, Scorsese's version. So I guess the story itself is as old as like time itself, right? You've literally got like an arsehole who somehow managed to get around all the rules of law to become a real pain in the ass. And so watching the black and white 60s version, and apparently it was an artistic decision because I was quite confused because by the 60s they were making coloured films.
Yeah.
I was quite surprised. I actually really enjoyed that. I thought I might struggle to watch it because I know there is a real shift in the way movies were made, like sort of like from the mid-70s onwards, and you could really tell the difference in movie making techniques between the two films.
I like the hammy way that they acted back in those days, though. Back in like even further back to like the 50s, there's just this overly dramatic way that they act that it's funny, but I kind of enjoy it at the same time.
Is it hammy or is it stilted?
But the women are way over the top. It's like, oh, how did you break my heart, Jeremy? And they talk from like half. I love it. And they had that weird accent. They actually touched on it in the Hollywood series. That funny transatlantic, mid-Atlantic accent that doesn't actually exist anywhere, where it's like half American, half English, and everyone had it back in those days.
I've found the 60s version very interesting. The bit that almost floored me was is it the secret, not the secret agent, the PI? Because I'm looking at him and I'm like,
Kojak.
I was like, that guy looks really familiar. Yeah. I don't think I'd ever seen him with hair or so young.
No, that's what freaked me out. He's got hair. I know he's it's like a healthy head of hair. What happened? Literally, like must have been the next 10 years. He just lost it all.
Yeah, he was like, because he has a very distinctive look about himself, doesn't he? So there were some very interesting choices that Scorsese made when you compare it to kind of the original. So in the original, the daughter, she's made to look like very young. She acts very young. In fact, the actress between her and Juliette Lewis, the age difference isn't huge.
Yeah, the character. Well, in real life or the character?
Yeah, as in, like, so basically, I think she was 16, or she said she was playing a 14-year-old, but I think she was 16 in the film. No, she was a 16-year-old actress
in the black and white one.
Yeah, in real life, and I think Juliette Lewis was about like 18. But like they really made in the original, they made her really come across and look and act like a child.
I preferred that because I think it makes the character, Robert Mitchum's version of the character, more sinister for me when he's like creeping on her.
It does, doesn't it?
I felt Juliette Lewis seemed a little. This weird thing with Juliette Lewis, she's always had in the 90s. She always had that youthful look, but it always seemed to me that she was older playing younger.
Well, this is it, right? She was 18. But she looks like she's a fully grown woman. Yeah. And she's really like, I don't know if it was like a conscious decision, but she's just oozing sex appeal through that whole film. You kind of like, you get that. Like she didn't act like an innocent little child.
She's being seduced, isn't it?
Yeah. So I found that a little bit weird. Maybe I wouldn't have found that weird had I not watched the original, like literally just prior. But that was a little bit of a strange feeling to me.
Well, a little background on this this whole thing. It's based on a book called The Executioners, which I don't understand where that title comes from. Like, what is it in reference to? Because that was nearly the name of the movie, but they ended up changing it because the director didn't like it. The Executioners.
Well, I mean, it could be something that's not been put into the film, but that's in the book.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Gregory Peck. He actually produced the whole thing. He actually put the movie together, and the movie flopped so bad that this is the movie that shut his production company down.
Oh, really? So was this
Yeah,
a flop? Because I was reading that it was like it reviewed fairly
critically.
positively.
Yeah,
But did you read the stuff about the fact that the British censorers demanded so many cuts? I think about 6 minutes had to be taken out, and it still just narrowly avoided like what they used to call back then an X rating, which is equivalent to an 18. And apparently, when the film came out, there was still outrage over the overtones of like rape and
yeah,
assault.
yeah.
It's amazing because you watch that film now and it's so harmless, right? And you kind of
Same.
think that's the sort of thing you would see on BBC Two at 2 o'clock on a Saturday.
Exactly. It literally be in the afternoon, like 3 o'clock or something. It's like it's mad how times change. But yeah, apparently the reason why it was black and white because they wanted
Yeah,
to evoke Hitchcock. They wanted to go
Hitchcock.
for that
Yeah, yeah,
Hitchcock
yeah,
film, which is weird because when you watch the '90s version, you can see that they're trying to do the same thing. It's very
yeah.
Hitchcockian in the way that they shot that.
Yeah, but I think like modern
Very.
audiences wouldn't accept a black and white movie. Like how often do they do it? I think Schindler's List, the only real one I can think
But no,
of.
no, not the fact that it wasn't in the black and white. They didn't
Yeah.
in Scorsese's one. It's just the shots that he used and the way that
Oh
they
yeah,
did the
yeah, yeah,
angles.
yeah,
How
yeah,
many
yeah.
Hitchcock movies? I'm worried now because you're gonna about to tell me you've never watched the Hitchcock film, are you?
I don't think I've watched
Any?
any Hitchcock films.
Oh my god! So all those intense close-ups and the weird double focus and
No,
the touch
think
angles—that's all
I think
distinctive Hitchcock.
yeah, I think you get to know that over the course of like your movie watching. Like whenever you watch like behind the scenes stuff, they always talk about like the Hitchcock influence. The fact that Hitchcock was the one who insisted that movie times actually have a start and a finish, whereas apparently before that, people just used to rock up at any time to watch a film and could like start halfway through it.
Yeah, Hitchcock. He basically established what the tropes are for horror
Yeah,
movies. Literally, everything we take for granted wasn't
yeah,
really established before he
yeah,
established it. But yeah, man, it's when we're going back to Juliette Lewis.
yeah.
Would this have made you happier? This casting, almost casting the role. We had Jennifer Connelly.
Oh
Imagine
yeah,
her from '91.
yep,
Winona Ryder,
yep.
but turned it down, by the way. But I think she would have been really good in this. And Drew Barrymore, who apparently flopped her audition, but I think Drew would have been perfect. I think she would have looked better in the age.
I don't think there was anything wrong with Juliette Lewis. I think it
No.
was. I think well, she was 18.
Yeah, but it wasn't. Yeah, but she looked it. I wanted that creepiness of the first film.
No, but I think. But wouldn't you have even been more creeped out if like Scorsese had got whatever other actress that looked younger to act that way? That would have
That's
just
the
been
point.
creepy.
That's Drew Barrymore built her early career on doing that in the '90s. And that scene
Yeah,
in the drama theater,
yeah. Oh
where
yeah,
Niro just sticks his
yes.
thumb in her mouth, that would have just had a whole next level of
Uh, But
slime.
but you know, so this film, you know, it was nominated for 2 Oscars, and one of those was Lewis for Best Supporting
Yeah, she's
Actress.
good. She was good in it.
Oh, she was very, very good. I thought the other thing that made me lean more towards the '60s version is the fact that the couple seemed so much more wholesome and together, whereas in the Scorsese version, you've potentially got him
Cracks.
well, he did have an affair with another woman. That's why they moved. Potentially, there was if the whole caddy thing hadn't happened, he may have had an affair with the other woman that he worked with.
They should have just had him having an affair. I think it kind of seemed a bit dumb that it was just this chick he was playing badminton with. Like, there was no real thing there. Like you could say that they were flirting, but it was
Yeah, yeah,
kind
yeah.
of it should have
Well,
just
but you knew that was going to kind of happen if his life hadn't blown up.
yeah. And you think it was weird that De Niro went after her?
No, that made perfect sense. That absolutely made perfect sense, right?
But
Because
let her live.
well, that was the whole point, though, because it was supposed to intimidate her, so she wouldn't do anything. But a warning
He
to
beat the
Caddy.
shit
Sorry, a
out of
warning.
her. She
Yeah,
was wrapped up like a
that was
mummy.
brutal. That was.
What? How would he not? Why would you presume that she's not going to go to the police and say he raped me and beat the shit out of me? And that his whole plan would have just fallen apart right
No,
there.
but there are other parts of the plan that could have fallen apart. But this one was quite rock solid, right?
Oh,
Because she literally said, "I know the system. I know I would have to stand up on that. I would have to tell him what I was wearing, what we done, what he'd done to me, how he hit me. Then we would have to talk about the fact that you and I hang out outside of work. So that all actually made real sense.
It actually highlights some of the differences between the first movie and the second one.
Yeah.
Whereas what the character did, the Sam character, Sam Bolden, who's the protagonist, the differences of why
Yep.
those characters are mad. Because in the first movie, he interrupted the attack, and then he was a witness on the stand against the character.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yes. Whereas in
Whereas
this case, yeah, he was a dodgy
in the
lawyer.
other one, he was the defendant. He was his lawyer who suppressed
Yeah.
a detail of the case.
So it was supposed to be the girl that got beaten up, that apparently she had a history of being promiscuous.
Yeah, and he suppressed that information.
Yeah.
So I'm actually.
I was gonna say he just came across as a complete psycho, didn't he?
Let's
De Niro.
get into the casting then. So who did it for you? Robert Mitchum with his big head, but he did have this sort of suave, sinister vibe to him. But then you got De Niro, who was just full on.
So Robert Mitchum was great in the role, right? He did what I guess of the time what was required from him, but De Niro took it to the next kind of level. Apparently, Scorsese actually found it really creepy.
Dude, how much do you know about his preparation for this role?
None.
Well, first off, tattoos.
Yep.
Are real, but they're done with vegetable ink, so they're not just painted on him. They are legit. They're legitimately tattooed into his skin, but it's used with vegetable ink, which fades after a couple of weeks or months.
Right. Okay.
He legit sat down and got legit tattoos all over his body. One, and the second thing, which I think he needs to go to a mental home, is he went to a dentist and paid $5,000 to have his teeth messed up.
Oh.
And he had to spend $20,000 afterwards to have it all sorted, so he would look like a normal dude again.
Well, I mean, you could tell like all of that comes out in his performance, right?
Who the fuck fucks their teeth up just for a role? That's psycho shit. Something that no one notices. That's insane.
That is incredible. What's it for the craft? Well, there's a particular word I'm looking. Dedication to the craft.
Yeah. So let's talk about the alternatives that instead of Robert De Niro, we could have. Is this the right one? Yeah, we could have had Tommy Lee Jones.
Well, yeah, I can imagine him being a psycho.
William Dafoe.
Okay, I can imagine him being a psycho.
Got the face. Nicolas Cage. That would have been a whole nother tone.
That would have just been too funny.
Or the piece de resistance, in my opinion, it could have been Jack Nicholson.
Oh.
Yeah.
I think Jack Nicholson would have come across as creepy, whereas De Niro actually came across as intimidating. I can't imagine Jack Nicholson doing the same in that, in the scene where he pays like the gangsters to go beat him up.
Yeah.
Whereas, De Niro turns the table. I couldn't imagine Jack Nicholson doing that.
Well, yeah, he wouldn't have committed to the role to change himself physically because another thing that I liked about the 90s version is that we got a little bit more of a glimpse of him in prison, whereas in the 60s one, he was already out just walking around. But this one, when you see him doing the press-ups and the sit-ups, we get to really see that he's transformed his body and become this machine.
You do so the 90s version is a little bit longer in pure traditional Scorsese's way. So they do build on that. The only thing I didn't like was the ending.
What did you like about the ending? You didn't like him holding under the car for how many miles?
Jesus, fuck me. That's like, at least they explained it a little bit that he was strapped in, right? I was like, there's no way you could hold like on under there. Then you're kind of like, if he wants to go to the toilet, is he just going to piss himself?
But just drop straight out. But did you ever see the episode of The Simpsons where they spoofed this whole movie?
Yes, I do remember watching that,
With Sideshow Bob, and he's strapped under the car and he's just getting hit by rocks and speed bumps and he realizes this is a big mistake.
Do you see the look of the lady's face when he gets out like from under the car and he just walks straight into the men's room?
Remind me again, did he have any like cuts or anything on him, or was he just fine when he just rolled out?
I think he might have actually. He didn't, like how in Hollywood they like when you wake up in the morning you're fully like make-upped and you're really he did not look like that. He did look as though he'd been roughed up and stuff.
Okay.
No, I didn't. I in the because what they've done is obviously they've expanded
Yeah.
that whole premise, right? And it was almost like they had the ending from the original, and then basically it didn't work, and then they had to do this whole other kind of plot on the boat.
Mm.
Whereas in the original, all of that was combined into one. And I don't know, this might have had something to do with the fact that obviously I'd watched one movie and then the following movie the other night. By the time they got to the boat, I was just like, I just want this to be over now. I want to go and do something else.
Really? You're actually
Yeah.
bored?
Not bored, but like I said, it almost felt like I was watching the same movie 2 times in a row.
See, I find it fascinating how you can take one story and then just a director, a
Yeah.
different writer, just interprets it in a different way. And I just kind of find those differences
Well,
fascinating, personally.
I think the fact that we spoke earlier about the content of the original was for the time, like like the fact that there was loads of sensing required, the
Mm.
word rape was never used, it caused a bit of outcry, and then today it's like no one would batter an eyelid about it, right? So
Use
I think that the time that the remake happened, all of those sort of things again could be in a film and no one really cared about them. So I think Scorsese had a lot more leverage, right? He was able to do a lot more that they weren't able to do in the 60s.
What do you think of Nick Nolte as Sam Bolden?
He's so apparently I read a very interesting thing. He is taller than De Niro, but they had to make him look as though he wasn't.
I have to remind myself that Nick Nolte, this is the same hulking monster that was in 48 Hours of Eddie Murphy. And he looked like a freaking
Yeah,
monster in that movie.
yeah,
He looks
exactly. Yeah,
so different. It's like there's a whole nother life between these two. The characters are so broad. But
yeah.
do you did you like him in the role, or would you prefer the alternate casting, which I'm about to tell you now?
He was adequate in the role. I don't think he was that memorable. I think if I really look at the two, I think Gregory Peck again might have been was the better
Yeah,
version of Sam.
I think so. So do you reckon Robert Redford would have been better?
Um, Potentially, maybe.
What about Mel Gibson?
Oh, that would have been a different film, right? Because I don't think viewers would have bought Mel Gibson not buying into the role of where he just had to smash Katie's
Yeah, because
face.
this is his Lethal Weapon
Yeah,
heyday. Like he would not have. Yeah,
Mad Max, Lethal Weapon.
the last one. This is the one for me. I reckon should have played the role.
Yep.
Harrison Ford.
Ooh, interesting. Now
Mm.
that actually might that made it a completely different film.
Yeah, and he would have brought way more gravitas. So
Yeah,
I was watching Fugitive the other day, and I was thinking that's the before he starts going on the run. That's the character that this
yeah.
guy would have been. It's like professional. He has that air of respectability about him. I think it would have worked way better with Harrison.
Oh, I think you know what? That's probably not a bad. Was he up for it? Did he turn it down? Did he just go get it?
Apparently, he was in the running, but I
Yeah,
guess didn't get it. Did not
that's a
get it.
shame because those two haven't really worked together, have they?
No, no,
No.
that's true. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So one last thing from me though. I found this very fascinating during the whole movie. Sorry, the original 60s one, every time money came up,
Hmm.
I had to go to the money calculator and convert it to find out what that money would be worth today. So you know when he slips a 20 to the waitress,
Yeah.
basically asking for sex, essentially, right? $20 from 1962 today is $170. That's a hell of a lot of money back then, right?
They do
The
establish that he got some money from his
yeah,
mother dying or something, and
yeah.
I think it was only like 5 grand or something. They said
So that 5 grand is the equivalent of £43,300 today.
even
And the
that's not that much considering how
but,
he's living.
but imagine 43 grand back there would have been shed loads of money, right?
Yeah, true.
And the $20,000, I don't know what happened here, but remember he turned it down because he goes, that's not even like 1 grand for each year I was away, right? Or something like that. And he goes, have you never heard of minimum wage? But that
$10
would
a
be the
day.
equivalent of $169,800 today. That's a hell of a lot of money. A
Damn.
hell of a lot of money.
Damn. I get mad when I hear these price conversions for things. I get
Yeah.
mad at my parents and my grandpa. Like you should have bought more shit, even if it put you in debt, because it's worth so much now. I could be like I'm so envious of people that inherit home.
Oh,
from their
Yeah.
parents. Like, I just can't imagine getting something from. I got nothing from my parents. Not a damn thing.
Well, I've got nothing myself, mate. I'm on that. I've got that same conundrum of buying a place. And
Nothing.
my only hope now is to go back in time and buy one before it all went belly
Yeah,
up.
yeah, that's true. Um, I like the fact that in the '90s one, De Niro actually killed somebody, two people by the way. Like I think he needed it to add to his the how much of a threat he is because Mitchum doesn't really. He just gives the chick a black eye. That's the worst he does.
He beats that chick up because you don't see her getting beaten up. I think is a bit of the difference.
Mm.
He also towards the end, his end game is really just to assault and rape the two
Girl,
women, right? Yeah. Whereas in this, like in the remake, it's very much like I have no idea what the hell his end game was, right? It was to like basically rape him,
in
make the
front,
father watch,
yeah, and then
and then
probably just kill him after.
kill
Yeah,
them all. Yeah.
had to, and he killed the friend in the house and the maid
Yeah.
with the was it fishing wire?
Oh no, it wasn't fishing wire. I think it was the piano wire. Because remember,
Yeah.
he's going. The piano wire is missing.
Yes,
Yes,
yeah, there's a
yeah,
missing thread.
yeah. That was a hell of a reveal as well, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's sitting there, he's talking to the maid, and then all of a sudden, just turns around, and you're like, "What? That's one ugly-looking woman."
Oh yeah. The thing is, he did the voice. Like when the guy came in, he asked her a question and she replied.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, see, he's on I think didn't
Uh,
notice.
no. So one other little factoid about this, apparently Spielberg was the one developing this film.
Really?
He then realized that it was just far too violent and dark, and basically traded this to Scorsese in return for Schindler's List.
Interesting. So I read that Schindler. I read that Scorsese made this as part of a deal with I think Universal, might be Universal.
Yeah, so Amblin Entertainment, which normally works with Universal. So
Yeah,
Spielberg stayed on as producer, but his name's are not on the credit. Like he
yeah.
didn't want to be affiliated with such an adult film.
So as part of his deal of making this, he also had to make Casino as well. And then that satisfied the deal.
Yeah.
But one other thing I was gonna point out. What do you think of the cameos from the original cast? Robert Mitchum
Yes.
and Gregory Peck.
So the only one that I really caught was the Gregory Peck one because obviously he was the lawyer towards the end, and you're kind of
Last
like,
one, last
man,
role.
in 30 years, like how much he changed, right?
Yeah, that was his last role before he
Yeah,
passed. He didn't. Robert
yeah.
Mitchum, dude. Nobody in the world looks like Robert Mitchum. You telling me you didn't notice him?
What part did he play?
He was one of the. Oh shit! He wasn't a lawyer for Nolte. He was one of his advisors. He was one of his colleagues that kind of comes in. I think he was in multiple scenes. There's a couple of
Right.
scenes.
Did not
Damn,
notice him.
you didn't even notice that distinctive, massive Lego head of his.
It doesn't have that big a head.
He does. He's like the Elephant Man. Like, dude,
No.
he's in a prime example of how times have changed. That someone like that would not be a movie star if they were around now.
I did like the fact that how he was just able to walk up to quite an attractive woman in a bar and essentially say, "Get rid of your friends. I'll be back in now."
Scares at her for like 5 minutes, and then I'll give you 5 minutes to get rid of him. It's like,
And then
wow, that's smooth. That would work
and then,
today.
yeah, and then she's all over him in the car, even though like he's a right asshole to her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's crazy. That's so mad.
Yeah.
But hey, it's women.
Yeah.
So, what did you give the first one?
So the first one, I would say, was a very enjoyable, good film, which now may make me go back to watch other 60s classics. I would give that. I think that was definitely worth a 4.
Oh, that's high. That's very high.
Yeah, I thought very, very good film.
Okay. What's your limit of going back though? Because there are films, old school movies, which I would like to check out as well.
Well, I remember as a kid watching things like the Ten Commandments and stuff, and that's like back from that's quite far back as well, isn't it? Gone with the Wind, I'm pretty sure I watched as a child.
So things like Bonnie and Clyde, you'd be interested in checking out.
I'd probably go and have a look through the catalogue and kind of see what are the big hitters. Like I said, I've got Albert and Costello meet Frankenstein lined up as well. So that's from
different. That's a straight slapstick comedy. I don't know about those films. I don't know if those hang out. But then again, I would get Lauren Hardy.
Yeah,
I need to love those.
It's a similar sort of thing, right?
Yeah, I guess. So what do you give the 1991 Scorsese?
So I would give that. I wouldn't quite give it a 4
Ooh.
But I don't think it deserves less than a 4. So I'll give it something like a 3.75, just to
See,
say that
I
I
gave you
prefer.
the opportunity, Mo, last week when I said we should do this at a 10 instead of just 5 stars. But you like, no, 5's enough.
5 is
That
enough,
would have been
but
a
I'm just
perfect
saying
time to, because then
it's
it would have
not
been easier.
it's not quite a 4 because I didn't like it as much as the original.
Okay, I'm the other way then. So I'm gonna give the 1962 version, Cape Fear, J. Lee Thompson, a 3.5,
Yep.
and 4 stars to the Scorsese 1991. Yeah, yeah.
So that's 2
Good.
weeks in a row where we've had a differing opinion of which is the better film.
Yeah, yeah, it is. What's going on, Mo? Your tastes are slipping.
No, I've got better taste than you.
No, you're just mistaken.
No, I like the originals. You like the remakes. Now I know why you always get so excited about a remake. I bet you prefer the American version of My Sassy Girl.
Oh, don't just. Oh, that's disgraceful. Saying things like that makes us have to review it at one point. So, what do you want to do next? When are we going to do Let the Right One In? Or Girl with the Dragon Tattoo? That'd be an interesting one. You don't think you've seen either of them, have you?
I'd be up for seeing Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. I don't want to watch Let the Right One In because I've already seen, I think, the original once. It's not kind of a film that I'd want to revisit, but if you're going to force me to, we can do.
We'll give it a little longer.
Yeah.
Dragon Tattoo, I'm looking forward to this. Yeah. All right. We'll do
Hold
that
on.
one.
Is the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo like a really long film?
Oh my God. What is with this runtime Nazi, man? Why do you.
Again, like old films, they all just like clocked in at like 140 odd minutes. Sorry, not 140 minutes, like an hour 40.
Well, they're not old films. These are just from like 10 years ago.
Yeah, but I bet these are like, how long is the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo? Why do I get the feeling it's like a 3-hour film?
No, it ain't that long. Look it up.
I'm looking up
What does
right
it matter,
now.
Mo? A good film's a good film. I'm disappointed. Solomon was the one that always hated long films.
I don't mind a long film if it needs to be a long film. Let's have a look here. Runtime 2 hours 38 minutes is for the American version.
And
Girl with the
Swedish.
That is also 2 hours and 32 minutes.
Pretty close. Pretty close.
Yeah.
Well, we'll
Right, yeah.
discuss it anyway. We may go with that one, or may not. Guys, give us suggestions.
Well, no, I'm happy to do this if you want to do this one. I might try and spread it out, like not do like one night and then one the other night. Although the Swedish version has got Numi, what's her name in it? Yeah.
Yeah. We may do that one. We may not. We'll see. So, guys, from me and the race.
And for me, Mo.
Guys, don't forget to check out Talking at the Movies podcast on all podcasting platforms and here on Vulture Network YouTube channel. And DC vs. Marvel podcast. Don't forget also, give us a like, give us a subscribe, recommend to your friends, stick on Reddit, do whatever. Help us out. See you guys later.